So far away, Lucas. I am going to pip you at the post for this episode of Wiki Weekends and talk about something that you really like.
You're stealing it from me, Karl.
I am. The Legend of Zelda. Far away, Lucas and folks at home. Today we're going to be talking about the legendary hero of Hyrule,
Zelda.
Link.
Because the Zelda, right? Well, that's the title, Karl.
Oh yeah. But no, we're talking about the protagonist of the series, Link, and as always, you want to link to the wiki we're referring to below. But before that, Lucas, just to clarify, this is your favourite series of video games, yes?
It is indeed, yeah.
And what do you think of the character of Link? Because it's a very interesting character. Like, he's barely gone through any design changes in like 35 years.
Yeah, and obviously Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom changed up his design quite a bit, but I do think it's one of those. He's seen massively different art styles, but the character is always just, twink in a green tunic.
Yeah, that's one of the weirder things. Like, obviously, people say, "Well, he looks so different in all the games." Like, no, the games have very different art styles, but Link's characterization and look has been really consistent, with the notable exception of the last two games. And I think the biggest deviation in Breath of the Wild is that he just wears blue instead of green.
And, he hasn't got the big floppy hat anymore. Like, they've tried to cool up the character a little bit, which I think fair enough after 30 years of the franchise being based off, like, Peter Pan is a bit weird. Like, maybe just make Link his own unique design. I appreciate that.
But that's the thing, like 35 years with virtually no changes whatsoever to his design or characterization. There's not many characters who've had that. You've got, Mario? Or at least in the spheres of gaming and stuff like that. I think it's Mario, and that's about it.
Yeah, and I suppose, I was about to say maybe DK, but DK did only just get a tie, but that's a different DK. The original DK is actually now Cranky Kong.
And his characterization has changed somewhat dramatically. If he went from, an antagonist to a hero, to, a silly character, to one who's quite intelligent, whereas Link's always just been this courageous young boy who wants to save the day. So we're all on the same page, because we can't all have the length and breadth of knowledge that Lucas does. Link is the main character and the protagonist of the Legend of Zelda series. And I like how it has, next to that, about 4 or 5 different citations. Do you really? He's on the front of every box.
Excuse me, princess.
Do you really need that many citations? He has appeared across many incarnations throughout the series, usually depicted as an ordinary young boy or man who becomes a legendary hero by who saves the world through feats of courage. And as a result, what does he always carry, Lucas? Or for the most part, he always carries?
Well, he nearly always either carries or, at some point receives or finds the Triforce of Courage.
And as someone who was largely an outsider looking in on the Legend of Zelda franchise until the release of stuff like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, I was like, what? Courage? It's like, is it wisdom and power? And it's like, wisdom sounds like really useful, especially in a world where magic exists. And then power, Ganondorf's like fucking awesome. What the hell does courage? And then I saw the opening to Tears of the Kingdom where Link walks out and just Halo jumps with no equipment. It's like, okay, that's what courage is. I won't do that. It's like, 30 seconds into the game, he just walks out, he's had his arm ripped off, he's lost 20 hearts at once. The entire world has just been upended, and he walks straight outside and just dives without any equipment into a pond.
Well, it's like the beginning of Wind Waker, I think, shows it really well as well. Because in Wind Waker, his sister gets kidnapped by this giant monstrous bird that, pirates can barely take down. And Link nearly falls off the bridge trying to just immediately jump on this thing without any equipment or weapons. And he literally has to get, grabbed and pulled back. No, this isn't going to work.
He is typically seen wielding a sword and shield, most often the Master Sword and the Hylian Shield. And it still blows my mind that in Legend of Zelda canon, the Hylian shield is not special in any way. It's just a shield that the Hylians made that so happens to be one of the most indestructible objects in that universe.
Yeah, it's kind of obviously seen bits and pieces have changed over time, but Yeah, for example, at Ocarina of Time, it's literally a shield you buy at the bazaar.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And
It's
it
just a
becomes
dude
legendary
built
because
a
Link
trunk
uses
shield.
it, doesn't it, right? Is that how it
Yeah,
works?
that's kind of the insinuation, is this is the shield that the hero used, not necessarily this is a magical shield that, bestows Link any power. It's just Link happened to use that shield when he had the power to seal away the darkness.
Yeah, it's like the Hylians for some reason can just make apparently the Hylians just discovered vibranium. 'Cause isn't it like the intro to Smash Bros Ultimate, where it's like the entire universe gets eradicated but the Hylian shield survives.
Oh yeah, because Link guards with the shield and disappears and dies, but the shield just
Hylian
drops.
It can sort of like a universe obliterating blast. It's like, wait, what? This is just what were the Hylians on? But then we say, specific incarnation of Link may also be distinguished by titles, such as the Hero of Time. And when's that from, Lucas?
The Ocarina of Time.
The Hero of the Winds.
That would be Wind Waker.
And then it gives like a bunch more. And then we have all incarnations of Link, but that's the spirit of the hero. And are thereby destined to fight evil. And do you have a favourite incarnation of Link?
Up until recently, it had to be the Wind Waker Link, but Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom happened, and this Link is a madman.
He's insane. I cannot get over how much of a fucking man Link is.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
like you said, like Tears of the Kingdom. Oh no, my arm's gone. It's so ridiculous.
Just can you imagine losing 90% of your life force and your right arm, and then being like, fuck it, round 2, let's go.
Yeah. And the thing as well, one of the things that I love about Link is that I think in total, he has said because I double checked this for an article I wrote for Fact Fiend, he has said 2 words in 35 years.
I mean, I guess you can obviously take away the animated series from that and
The animated
stuff,
series, yeah, but in the series itself, he
canon.
has said 2 words, and it is it, hey, listen?
No, because that'd be Navi.
Is that Navi? Okay, but there's I think there's one game where he says one specific that you can actually hear, and the rest of the time he never says anything else. But you get so much about his character from just the way that he acts. Like when he's cooking, it's like, yeah, I love cooking.
He's just...
He's just so happy. He's always happy.
And
are you ready?
obviously just the screams as well over the years, the different Link yells you've got.
It's just yeah, so fucking strong. And I think you always say it's like the young Link scream, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the one that always gets me.
Oh, but it's Wiki Weekend, so we've got to get some band names. So we have the various titles and aliases of Link. So we have I'm just going to pick out some of my favourite ones here. Before I do that though, you got any ones that you particularly like of titles or aliases that Link goes by in the various games and incarnations that he's had?
I mean, in my brain, the only real ones are Hero of the Wild, Hero of Time, Hero of Bookability.
Yeah, well, we have a bunch of those here. So we have the Hero of Hyrule, the Legendary Hero, the Sworn Brother, the Hero of Time, the Boy Without a Fairy
That's so...
from Ocarina of Time, the Ghost Hunter, Majora's Mask, Professional Escort, Oracle of Ages, the Hero of Essences, the Hero of the Zoras, Wind Waker, the Hero of the Winds, the Hero of Light, Ordonian, the Heroic Brother, Messenger to the Heavens.
Oh, that's a good one.
The Hero of Twilight, the hero chosen by the Ocean King. The chosen hero, the Sky Child, Hero of the Skies, Hero, and then Breath of the Wild, the Hero of the Wild, the hero awoken from a long slumber, the knight who sacrificed himself for the princess, which just sounds like the name of a power metal song. That's just an instrumental solo leading into the beginning of the album. And then Tears of the Kingdom, Sir Link.
Oh, okay, I was wondering if they had one in Tears of the Kingdom. Just is he Hero of the Kingdom?
No, and then his various aliases include Link, Linky, Mr. Hero, Mr. Traveller, Little Guy, Good Looking Gal, Master Short Pants, Goro Link, Brother, Mr. Important Hero, Thief, Whirling Dervish, Wind Waker, the Wisp Whacker, the Tiny Townie, the Tiny Mover, Swamp Thing, Super Smasher, Stair Climber, Mr. Clean, Minish Best Friends, the Hero, Itsy Bitsy Hero, Bomberman, Bookworm, Mr. Fairy, Mr. Sailor, Mr. Green Hat Boy, the Grasshopper, Mr. Nice Guy, Mr. No Fairy, and simply Thief.
I do enjoy that one of those thieves must be from Link's Awakening.
Yeah.
Where, like, the only guy that can canonically just wipe out Link in one blow. Just the shopkeeper.
So I'll never forget when me and you were playing through Breath of the Wild and I ended every play session by just holding a cuckoo above Link's head and it's like, behold my majesty. Like, behold my power, my majesty, and my skills.
But yeah, like, it's just, I mean, especially in Link's Awakening, you're not even actually fighting Ganon with the Master Sword. That shopkeeper is the most powerful thing in that entire game.
Yeah,
just send him on his way. Just get the final boss to come into the shop with you, steal an item, and he'll show us what.
I love stuff like that as well, where there are like these random characters who are. It's like I love Final Fantasy, and there's always like the optional super boss who's 4 times stronger than the final boss. It's like, why don't, like, I think it's like Final Fantasy X, where you have Sin, the final ultimate mega boss, but then you go to like the Beast Arena, and the guy in the Beast Arena makes a thing called Penance, which has 12 times as much health as the final boss and can one-shot wipe a fully leveled level 99 party. And he builds that.
Yeah, could he not have built that to fight Sin?
Yeah. And they say like, there's no way to beat Sin. It's like, well, just send that thing after it. It's unbeatable.
Bear in mind, that's only the most powerful one. He's also made a bunch of other super strong beasts.
And it's just ridiculous. But we have here some abilities of Link. So Link is depicted at the series as an impressive swordsman. I'd say he's just more an impressive everything now with the Tears of the Kingdom grip mechanic.
Yeah, he's like now also got, you know, a bachelor's in engineering apparently to just
so that's
do
the thing
whatever
about
he
going,
wants.
Lucas, what's like the most bullshit thing you've built so far?
Oh god, I don't even know because I've been going for more stupid than like spectacular. But the fact that somebody's built Metal Gear Rex says it all.
Yeah, I've as well. And then there's like, what is it? Everyone does like crucifying Koroks. And I'm going to build the Korok crucifixion mobile, and that's not an exaggeration. That's literally what people are doing because the Koroks were so annoying in a previous game.
I saw somebody just doing like a rotating waterboarding, like 5 Koroks at once. Oh no!
Well, it's that thing, isn't it? Of like, you give video game players any degree of creativity, they will make a penis.
Oh, that's
and obviously
the thing,
the first
isn't
thing
it?
everyone
Time to
built in that
peanuts.
game is like, you know, you stick 2 rocks together and put a log on it, and then attach like rocket ships to it and make it fly into like bosses and stuff.
And I think maybe day one there was already that meme going around of just the giant man that stands up and his penis is on fire.
Yeah.
Is that what is this game?
It reminds me a little bit of that. It's a screen. I don't like the game Fallout 4, but I do like the shit post I saw going around like, oh, I've just discovered some new Fallout 4 speedrun tech, and it's someone joined the town build mechanic. They just build a giant set of lights that says, "Where the fuck is my son?" And it just spins around, and it's just like everyone for like 20 miles around, like, "Where the fuck is my son?" Because that's things where like Breath of the Wild is a game that people broke down to its core elements, and there was so much dumb speedrun tech in that game, wasn't there? Like, and you learned something, didn't you? Like the slow down time shield jump thing that just rockets Link like 1,000
the bullet
miles
time
an hour
bounce, and I learned how to like bomb jump my way through shrines and stuff like that. There was also just crazy like game like manipulation in the menus and shit by the end of it, and yeah, it got absolutely insane.
Like the level of creativity afforded to you in that game has now been like just absolutely like near infinitely increased with like the addition of all the new mechanics. But I will still never forget when, like, you know, bomb jumping was a thing you could do in Breath of the Wild, and then they literally put in a thing where you can just strap a bit of TNT to your shield, and just jump. And then when you told me that was from like the original Legend of Zelda game, no, that series that no one likes, where
That
Link bomb
animated
jumps like,
series.
whoa! And everyone's like, that's so stupid, but now you can actually do that in game, right?
Yeah, and that's one of the most simple, stupid things you can do in the game is just strap a bomb to your shield and bomb jump off it.
But that was like a super malign thing about that cartoon series, wasn't it? Like the unrealistic physics, and now it's actually a inbuilt part of the core gameplay.
And I think one of my favourite things to do is, say you find like a bokoblin camp, for example, is you can find a bokoblin mask, and that will let you blend in with them. So you walk in, just 12 different shields, strap 12 different bombs to every shield you've got, then hand them all a bunch of meat, so they're just all in a little circle, all eating meat and enjoying their time together, and then just bomb jumping right in the middle. It's like, oh no.
The amount of stuff you can do in that game always astounded me. Like I said, we did a playthrough it once. And just like when I realised that Mipha's Grace is like, I no longer need to worry about parachuting anywhere, because if you got Mipha's Grace, you can just throw yourself off a mountain and it's fine. And I think every time there was like a mountain that I needed to get down to the bottom of, I would just fling myself off the edge and just ragdoll down because it was quicker. And I like to think that was canon to Link, because he knows it's fine. It was like, whoa!
Just gives it a quick check. Have I got Mipha's Grace? Yeah, Bob jumps off.
Look at Link, he's looking at your nose. So I hope I get a break soon. So Lucas, till next time.
Till next time, Karl.
Just salmons off the edge like he's scored a goal in FIFA or something like that. It's fun. That game is so good. And we've got to talk about it, Lucas, because I partially wanted to talk about it just to talk about Zelda, but I also wanted to bring up the review.
Oh no, Karl, no.
So Tears of the Kingdom got near universally 9 and 10s out of 10. It is near universally, near being the operative word, universally been praised as an absolute triumph of game design and just the philosophy that Nintendo has. It's polishing everything that has their name on it to a mirror fucking sheen, except for their hardware sometimes and their online capabilities. But the games are good. Save for one guy who's super fucking salty that it's not got dungeons in it anymore. And that guy has single-handedly brought down the entire, the overall ranking for the game.
Yeah, giving it a 6 out of 10 when every other reviewer gave it a 9 or 10 is I respect the fact that reviewers are allowed to do that, but then reading the review, I think it's unfair criticisms, and criticisms that I don't know how you can reach that conclusion if you've played that game properly.
So me and you, we went through, I think it was on your stream when you were playing through Tears of the Kingdom, which you might still be doing when this video goes out live. Check out Lucas's Twitch
probably
link
will,
below.
because that game is never fucking ending.
It's massive, yeah. And we were just going through their criticisms, and they're like, I don't like how it doesn't have dungeons in it like the old game. They're too easy to go through. And I remember I went, okay, let's go just look up gameplay. Not like a speed run, not someone blitzing through in 10 seconds. Let's just go look at a long play of a Legend of Zelda game from the past and see someone going through a dungeon when they're not going through it perfectly or flawlessly. It's one of those long plays.
But they mostly know where they're going.
They kind of know what they're doing. They're going to walk through so you can watch the gameplay. Those dungeons took about half an hour, 45 minutes. And I want to say, I think I watched the Water Temple one. And I want to say a good 10 to 15 minutes of that walkthrough of that dungeon, which isn't that complicated, is them pausing the game to take the boots on and off. And there is, and I think the review complained about the fact, the solution to your problem is always right in front of you. And I was watching the old gameplay, we walk into the Water Temple, here's the iron boots. I wonder what I'm going to need to do here.
Yeah, and then you receive the long shot at a certain point, and then the long shot is the solution to the rest of the dungeon to unlock the second part of it. The boss is defeated with the long shot. Normally, if you go into a room and you need, for example, arrows, there's arrows in the pots in the room.
So
if you need bombs, there's bombs in the pots in the room. They don't want you to get stuck, but it also tells you exactly what you need in every room.
But like their criticisms are, oh, this never happened in the old game. It's like, but it did though. You were just 11 and an idiot. And that's the thing I never get people like, they have this vision of something in their mind. And I do wonder how many people who hold up stuff like that actually ever go back and play it. Because that's the thing, you've been playing through like all the older Legend of Zelda games, like, you know, as the biggest fan of the series that I know. I'm sure you're willing to admit some aspects of those games haven't aged all that well.
Yeah, for sure, and especially in the 3D ones that I've been going through, there's a lot. I noticed, especially like recently in Twilight Princess, just kind of waiting around. Like a lot of the combat I was like, I've got these special techniques. Are they really useful on most enemies? No, they automatically block it until you wait for them to leave an opening and attack. And I'm like, okay, and you know, the combat's never really been the focus of Zelda games up until arguably Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, but like, it still feels very like slow and stilted and more puzzle based, whereas the 2D ones feel a little less so like that. And I just think, yeah, there's definitely big flaws in those games when you do go back and look at them from a modern perspective.
Yeah, and you're not saying that they're bad. You're just saying,
I love them all still.
Yeah, like, but viewing them through the lens of like, you know, modern day and seeing like, with the gift of hindsight of the changes that they've made to the series, like, oh yeah, like, you know, some aspects of this, like, you know, they did the best of what they had available at the time, but I'm like, you know, glad that we're not still adhering to this old design philosophy because, you know, it's, you know, a bit archaic now.
It's almost as if, generally speaking, we've made progress in making video games in the past 20 years.
It'll never stop cracking me up. That was every time they, like, you know, release a new game or there's a new film that does really well. There's always that one person, I like the old one. So I think, I don't play the game, but I remember when, like, you know, Goku got put in Fortnite, people were like, oh, Fortnite was so much better when they didn't put, like, you know, all these guest characters in there. It's like, are you fucking for real?
Yeah, I know. I've noticed that there's people pining now for specific versions of Minecraft, for example, of, man, I really missed, like, 1.6 of Minecraft. And it's like, okay, but
there's always going to be someone who's nostalgic for the old thing, but it's like, yeah, that review, like me and you, we went through it like piece by piece. And my favourite bit was, I remember I looked up the guy and went, what has this guy ever reviewed before? And I checked, the only thing they'd ever written before that were guides to things like Final Fantasy XIV. And then just like, you know, I might pick one, like, that was a very loud car, just went past my house. But yeah, it was like guides for stuff like that, and then very, like, you know, limited like input from them, just like PR pieces of like, here's some patch notes for a game. It's like, oh, this is the first game they ever reviewed, and their only complaints are, I don't like it. And here's the thing about criticism. Like, I don't like it is a perfectly valid piece of criticism. However, if your criticism is, I don't like it, that's really not applicable to a lot of people. By which I mean everyone who's not you.
Today. I am a victim of a hate crime. Stanley knows what I'm talking about.
That's not what a hate crime is.
Well, I hated it.
And a skill of reviewing that I don't think is all that appreciated is the fact you have to be able to look at stuff objectively.
And yeah, there's, you know, a review is a mixture of objectivity and subjectivity. I hate the people that are like, give us an objective review. An objective review would be a game description.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want that. You want an opinion.
To be able to blend both.
But you also need to be able to, as you say, have a bit more objectivity in terms of like looking at this as how a general public might view the game and not just my singular lens of like, well, you know, I reviewed FIFA and I don't like football, so it's a bad game. It's like, okay,
well, that's a great example.
That's a valid, you know, opinion to have, but maybe you should appreciate, well, what does this do for people who do enjoy football? Because
there is that legendary review that IGN America did of Football Manager. That they gave one of the Football Managers a 2 out of 10. And the guy who was reviewing the game is like, well, for starters, I don't know why anybody would want to play a football management game. 2, I don't like football. And they gave it 2 out of 10 because they didn't like it. And they had to take that review down because it was like, I think the guy who was in charge of the company making Football Manager was asked about it and he goes, well, it's not my place to say, but I think the public has spoken or something like that. And they took that review down because they realised it's just a guy going, I don't like Football Manager. And he goes, well, that's okay, that's fine, you don't like it, but what value does this have to anyone who's not you?
yeah, what does this review tell anybody? And I think, that's an important distinction, isn't it? Of like, you can have your own opinion, but when you're giving out a review, it's got to be like it's a tool for other people to use to get a perspective on a game, and not just you shouting your opinion very loudly.
And if that's the thing, and if your opinion is you don't like it, I'd say something else a reviewer needs to be able to do is explain why that isn't just I don't like it, because that's the thing when we bring it back to that review we're talking about. The majority of the guys' complaints are I don't like it. I preferred it in the old game, but not explaining why the old game did it better. Anything like that. Just say you don't like it, but
and saying that the game hadn't really changed from Breath of the Wild to Tears of the Kingdom, which again, as I mentioned earlier, like as somebody who's put like 100+ hours into Tears of the Kingdom, I cannot understand that statement. If you've played the game properly, like you would know how significantly different it is from the original.
And that's something else we've talked about in the past, like another skill that reviewers of video games specifically need, that reviewers of other mediums don't, is this basic level of like skill in controlling a game. So there's the infamous Cuphead one, isn't there, where like the guy couldn't double jump in a video game. And I remember a lot of reviewers were like trying to defend that guy's performance. It's like, no, he's been playing and reviewing video games for 30 years. Like, a base level of competency at interacting with the medium is expected and required to review these things properly. It's like...
And I know that wasn't specifically with a review, that was like somebody happened to be like at the event for Cuphead and got some gameplay capture or something, but yeah, you do expect people in that job to have like some level of competency. Cuphead's obviously a difficult game, but that was the tutorial.
Yeah, it's like no one's expecting you to be like an absolute god beast at it and go through like triple S rank on the hardest mode, but just to actually get through the game itself, you need a basic level of competency. It's like the same way I'd say the closest like parallel I see for like reviewing like a film is a basic understanding of the language of film, so that when films don't meet that very basic criteria, or you know they mess things up, like breaking something like the 180-degree rule or something like that, you're able to highlight it and point out that as a mistake because you understand that aspect of filmmaking. Same with like games, like you need to be able to play the games to at least a basic level of competency, so that you know if it doesn't control well, you can explain that. When it's like not able to like double jump, or like that Tears of the Kingdom one of like, all the puzzles are way too easy, or there's always a solution next to you. And it's like, but the game is about creativity and approaching every problem and stuff. And it's like,
and going back to Tears of the Kingdom, what would you say is your new favourite power then?
My new favourite power, it's got to be the grip.
The Ultra Hand, yeah.
The amount of flexibility that Ultra Hand offers, I had me walking around with just sticks attaching anything and everything to the end of a stick just to see what it did.
Yeah, because that's the thing is, I love the fuse thing that helps a lot with, obviously a lot of people's problems with weapon degradation and stuff. But the other three, the Ultra Hand, Recall, and Ascend, they work in combination with one another so well that, like, when people are just like, yeah, cut 20 trees, stick them all together, like with the Ultra Hand, lift it up with the Ultra Hand, then you recall it back up, then you ascend through it, and there you go. You're like 20 stories up in the air.
Yeah, but Lucas, wouldn't you much prefer if you had to walk around a dungeon smashing pots to get a key?
And I still like those games.
You
and
do
stuff,
still like those
yeah.
games, but aren't you glad that was a new level of fidelity offered to you as a player?
Very much so. And I will say that if any of that sounds intimidating, you can also just go and get on a horse and enjoy your game and go explore and have a fun time.
Yes, you can. And if you want to see Lucas having a fun time playing this game, links to his Twitch and my Twitch can be found below. But cheers for tuning in and for just sticking with us as we ranted about people not liking this game. Don't be, it's one guy. Fuck that guy. Go take a writing course.